Mahab and welcome to Bahrain to Touchdown Middle East 2023. Joining me now is Ronald Philip, Head of Strategy for Agility. And Ronald, we've spoken quite a few times. You've got quite an interesting project going on. But before we get into where the project is, let's talk about the Middle East. Because we are, as I said, at Touchdown 2023.
Yeah.
It's actually my first time in the Middle East at a conference. So I'm learning a lot and getting a lot of different perspectives of what's happening here. Talk us through where is the demands in these days coming from in this region?
Sure. So if you look at the Gulf, it's the Gulf Cooperation Council is 6 countries. And I'd say most of the demand so far has been concentrated in the 2 largest economies, Saudi Arabia and the UAE, which has probably seen 80% of the demand. But we're now seeing more demand also in the other economies, Qatar, Kuwait, Oman, Bahrain. So we're seeing demand coming across all of these markets. It's forecast to double in the next couple of years, according to the GDCA and their research. I interact on behalf of Agility with a lot of data center players, and there are really 4 categories of people that I see coming into the market. The first one is the hyperscalers themselves, who will build their own data centers. For example, AWS has already done that in Bahrain and in other economies in this region. The second category is the international operators from outside the region who are entering the region. Equinix is a great example, but there are others too. The third is the rise of regional operators, homegrown operators from Saudi Arabia and the UAE who are growing within the country but also outside the country and also into other continents, neighboring continents, which is very exciting. The fourth category that we're seeing is the telcos. Traditionally, they had a data center for some of their colo customers. They're looking to grow too. So these are the 4 categories that we're seeing. We're seeing most action in the UAE and in Saudi Arabia, but now also in the other 4 GCC markets.
Very interesting. And one common thread that all those countries have is the future-proof type of strategy they put in place. Saudi is Vision 2030, and all the other Gulf countries have some sort of Vision 2030 of their own. Yeah. How do you think data centers are going to really contribute to the economic growth of these nations, and how is it going to make them more competitive?
So they are looking at this very ambitiously, as you mentioned, right? It's an integral part of their economy and driving digitization across the economy. I'll give you the example of the UAE. They have taken massive steps in AI. They have a company called G42, which across every part of the stack, they're building the biggest Arabic large language model called JACE. They are building a large supercomputer. They have partnerships with Microsoft and OpenAI. They're building their own data center. So the entire stack, when it comes to future technologies, things like artificial intelligence, etc. And I expect the same from Saudi Arabia, from this region. I heard some fascinating discussions today about gaming and how players in the region are getting ready for the future of gaming. This is one of the most exciting markets in the world. So I think it's top of mind for everyone in this region how to digitize these economies and how to benefit from the boost it gives to economies and jobs throughout this region.
Gaming is definitely interesting and we've seen that wave sweeping through Southeast Asia during COVID. With the amount of construction with HGC and BDX and all those guys down in Southeast Asia. So if that gets replicated here, we're talking about gigawatts. It's going to be huge.
Yeah.
But where there's opportunity, there's always challenges, because the challenges create opportunity. So what are the challenges within the region? Is it land? Is it regulation? Is it power? What are the challenges that need to be addressed?
So, as you'd imagine, given that it's still relatively nascent data center investment in this region, you will have challenges as you'd expect around land acquisition, getting power, getting permitting on a certain kind of timely, predictable schedule. So that's been a challenge, but it's been an opportunity for people like us. We're the largest industrial real estate developer in the Middle East and Africa. We have very large sites across the region with great power where we've already built tons of warehousing facilities and got power and permitting. So what we're trying to do is we've master planned a set of data center campuses across some of our sites in Kuwait, Saudi Arabia, and soon the UAE, where we can host data centers and save them a couple of years in getting to market because we've already got the power, we've got the land, we've got the permitting. So that is how we plan to help. It's a common model in the West. Segro obviously with Slough Estate in the UK, but people like Goodman who've built 500 megawatts of powered shells, that's what we plan to do in this region too. It's a new model because everyone's typically said, let me go get some land, let me build it myself. What we're telling them is, I'll take care of the land for you. I'll get you a powered shell and I'll lease that to you. So it's a bit of education, but we're confident that we can help people, and we already have a couple of discussions ongoing already.
Yeah, interesting. It actually brings me to the question around partnerships and collaboration, and it doesn't have to be specific to agility, but you can maybe paint a picture with the region.
Yeah.
How do partnerships and collaborations work here, especially between Western companies and Middle Eastern companies, and with a bit of a pinch of a focus on foreign direct investment as well? Because you've already mentioned Equinix, the hyperscalers from Silicon Valley as well. Everyone is investing here, so there is foreign investment coming in.
Yeah.
But the Middle East is a big house to private equity money to fund. I mean, you name it, everything exists here.
Yeah.
So where does the partnership and collaboration exist within setting things up and then also financing them?
I think there's a lot of opportunity for partnership and collaboration, and it's still early days. A lot of international players have come in, some in some cases with local partners, and I think there are many more opportunities to do that because each of these countries has their own unique situations, their own unique contexts. It helps, and in this market in the Middle East, I moved here from the US. What I notice is that relationships and local relationships are very key. So an international operator who partners with a strong regional player benefits from the relationships that they have, the understanding of getting business done here in a compliant but expeditious way.
Very interesting. And then you've already mentioned agility as well and the work you guys are doing, but
Yes.
I think you've already kind of explained more or less where the project is, but what is the goal now? So how are you going to spend the next 12, 24 months building out where you've built? And I've seen posts about the Slough of the Middle East.
Yes.
So talk us through the plans for the near future.
Yeah, so we only brought our data center campus value proposition to market earlier this year, as you know, right? So we've had a bunch of discussions with all categories of players that I mentioned, and we've come to a stage where we have a couple of live discussions. My plan is over the next 6 months to close a couple of term sheets and start construction, and then deliver some powered shells in the Middle East, and in that process get more parties comfortable with this model. We have already a couple of international operators who've done the powered shell in Slough say that we'd like to see how it goes in the region, and we're waiting and watching. So my focus for the next 12 to 24 months is delivering the first powered shells in the region as a proof of concept, and hopefully we're then able to catalyze the entry of many more international operators into this market through the powered shell approach.
The first one is always the hardest one with everything.
The first one is is where you have to cut your teeth.
But correct me if I'm wrong,
yes.
you're also working towards Africa.
That's
Doing things
correct.
in Africa. Can you give us just a very quick overview of
Yeah,
Africa
sure.
as well?
So we have a Middle East, Africa, and India platform. We're present in 5 African countries where we built logistics parks: Egypt, Nigeria, Ghana, Cote d'Ivoire, Mozambique, and we're looking to enter additional markets like Morocco and Kenya. The data center space in Africa has mostly been a South Africa story, but now players are coming out to other markets too. What I call the Big Five. You know, you have Big Five wildlife, you have Big Five data center markets in Africa too. Exactly, the Flap D of Africa. So we're South Africa, but it's really now Nairobi in Kenya, Lagos in Nigeria, Cairo in Egypt, and Casablanca in Morocco. So we're seeing people come out there, and also the tier 2 markets. So in markets where we have a presence, we're looking to offer the same value proposition. Data center campuses where we take care of the land acquisition, building the core and shell, and in some instances, a couple of players have asked if we can do more. And we're happy to do that in these tough African markets. So that's our plan. We have the first data center campuses in Egypt and Ghana, but we plan to add more in Nigeria, Kenya, Morocco, wherever there's demand and wherever we already have boots on the ground.
Very interesting. And then, of course, we are at Touchdown Middle East 2023. This is the first edition. Why is it important that this event exists for the region? And why is it important for you to be here as well?
So I find events like this incredibly useful because it's still early days for data centers here in the Middle East. So we are exchanging experiences, we're learning about new opportunities, we are building relationships and networks, all of which creates opportunities, right? So we're exchanging experiences, we're learning about new things, and we are building relationships. So I think it's been very successful in that way. And we've also had tons of people from outside the region who are keen on understanding the Middle East opportunity. They've also flown in. So that's been a great success with this event. And I think this market, the Middle East, needs more of these types of events.
Yeah, it's been interesting because there's quite a few people. It's their first time as well in the Middle East. I'm not the only one. There's quite a lot of people here.
Several.
It's their first time, and it just
That's
shows
correct.
the interest in the market and the curiosity
Yes.
about what's happening here. And then last question. So in 12 months' time, we'll come back here again for Touchdown 2024. What's the one thing you would like to see happening in the markets within that period of time?
In this industry,
In the Middle Eastern data center sector?
I'd like to see more projects being launched. I'd like to see more diverse talent. I mean, you look around the whole, Zhao, I mean, very few women,
Yeah.
very few people from
It's
the
probably
region
only part
here.
They got copied from Europe quite well.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
So listen, I hope to see more diverse talent walking these halls. I think the industry needs to more actively go out and attract for more diverse talent pools. The talent exists. It's there. Women, people from this region.
Opening the
I hope
doors.
this industry attracts more of them. And next year when we're here, we have more diversity of talent here.
Yeah, hopefully, and not just here, but actually across the entire world.
Yes,
Because
absolutely.
This is a global issue.
Absolutely.
It's not just here or Europe, it's really global. But Ronald Philip, Head of Strategy for Agility, thank you so much for talking to me.
Thank you, Zhao.
As for your home, thank you for watching, and do check the website and give us a follow on social media for more news from the digital infrastructure sector worldwide. At the Tech Capital, you lead, we report. Bye for now.